right, so for this workout, first section is going to be our CARS, or our controlled articular rotation routine. So we're going to take a top-down approach. We're not going to do every single major joint today, but we'll get some of the major ones, and then we'll go from there, okay? So we're going to start with our cervical. What I want Nicole to do is create a little bit of tension so she can make fists if she wants. Think about grounding down and grabbing those feet into the floor, a little bit of bracing through the entire body. So if I was to tap right here, she's just creating a little bit of tension, okay? Gonna focus on just rotating through the neck and not moving any other part of the body. So let's go ahead and drop the chin to the chest, and we're gonna go to the right side first. So start to trace your right collarbone. It's always slow and controlled, gang. When you get to that end range, I want you to look over your shoulder, let that head fall, and then just let the head fall back. So here, we're just letting the weight of the head pull her back, chin's pointed up towards the chest as she comes around. She's gonna look over the left shoulder first, and then start to trace that left collarbone. Drop the chin down, come down through the center, and go ahead and do a second rep. And when I say slow, gang, I want like 1 mile an hour the entire time, so she's never speeding up. Sometimes you might feel a spot where you speed up. Try to resist that and take it slow, controlled the entire way. So when she gets her second rep to the center, I'm gonna have her just come right up. Good. Rebrace, make sure we still have a little bit of tension. Think like a 2 or a 3 on a 1 to 10 scale. So it's just that minor bit of bracing. And let's go 2 reps to the other side. So down, chin, left side, trace the collarbone. Make sure we're not leaning back. We're just moving from that cervical, from the neck, chin pointed up. Look over the right shoulder, and then trace that collarbone down. I'm just gonna roll right into that second rep. Again, tracing, looking over, a little side bend there of the neck, and then let the head fall back. Should feel like a nice stretch. You should stay pain-free the entire time. Good. All right, so there's the neck. We're gonna move on to the scaps. Some shoulder rolls, basically. So what I want, if you have seams in your pants, you can put your middle finger on your seams, just to ensure that the hands stay on the side of the legs the entire time. So at no point are we letting the hands moving forward and back. They're gonna move up and down, that's fine, but I wanna focus on moving from the shoulders. So if we keep the hands by the thighs, that'll help. We've got Mozzie here to help assist as well. So let's start with our shoulder rolls. So first thing I want, hands on the side. Drive those shoulders down like we're trying to touch those fingertips to the floor. Then we're gonna drive the shoulders forward. Good. Pull them up. So we're going shoulders by the ears. Then drive them back. Make sure the hands stay on the side. You're thinking about squeezing those shoulder blades together. Now drive them down. Good. So now we're all down and back. Pull them forward. And let's start our second rep. We're gonna try to round it out a little bit. So as soon as you hit the top, start to drive them back. As soon as you max that back out, drive them down. Stay down, let's pull them forward one last time, and then just reverse direction. So we'll do 2 reps the other way. We're down, pulling them back, shoulder squeeze, drive them up, then let them go forward. Good. Think of pulling those scaps away from each other. Down, back. Here's our last one. Get them up, drive them forward, and we'll all finish down and forward. And then you can just kind of relax out of that. If you want to do a little shaky shake, that's fine too. We're going to do 1 shoulder rotation, or GH, glenohumeral CARS. So what I'm going to have her do, we'll go left side first. With the right hand, you can create that fist that we've been doing. You can give yourself a hug, grab your midsection if you want, just to, again, create that bracing. I want this hand to make a fist, open it up so we get a little external rotation, and then bring it across the body. So we're going to start in this adducted position, okay? She's gonna start her big circle. I want her to go up and over my head. Try to keep the bicep by the ear. Once she maxes that out, can't go any further, then we're gonna turn from here. Not elbow or wrist first, shoulder first. They're coming along for the ride. She's actively trying to drive that arm behind her, and we're maxing out internal rotation, which means at the end, the back of her hand is against her side. So when we go back the other way, the thumb is gonna lead the way. So I want her to drive back, keeping the chest forward. Her goal is to get up and over my head. Nicole didn't have the most mobile shoulders, so to do as I say. But we're working on it. It's a work in progress, always. Second rep, same thing. Drive back, max that out. Then we start to internally rotate. So it's here first, gang. Shoulder first, elbow, wrist along for the ride. And then our second rep going back. So thumb leads the way. Her goal is to rotate here, get up over my head. Good, and always finish adducted. Good. We're gonna go right over to the other side. Same thing, creating that fist with the left side, creating a little bit of bracing, and start your circle all the way up rotating from here. Good, good, good. Maxing out that internal. And then reverse, thumb leads the way. Once you hit that sticking point, bring it up and over in that diagonal. Think about putting it in the other pocket. So I'm driving that hand to the other pocket. Second rep, same thing. So we come up. Once you hit that max point, then we're gonna turn from here first. Chest stays forward. We're screwing that shoulder in. Boom, reverse it back. Chest stays forward. Try to fight, again, keep that hand behind the body the entire time, and we'll finish down and across. Good. All right, we're gonna do one for the wrist. We'll go bilateral just for time's sake. So we're gonna basically put that block right between the forearms, but we want the freedom of movement from those wrists. So the purpose of the block is just that, to serve as a block, meaning once we do our wrist rotations, we don't want anything else to turn. So if you're doing your rotations and you see your forearm leaving the side of the block, then you're getting movement from places other than just the wrist, okay? So make sure those forearms stay against the wrist the entire time. All right, so let's start creating the fist just like we have here. We're gonna drive our fingers in, our wrists in, and then we're gonna go up first. So we're starting to draw, and you can keep going as I'm yapping, just drawing those circles. So as they go out, we're trying to max that out. How far can you get those knuckles to point away? Draw the circle down, and then we're bringing them back up. We'll do 2 reps each direction, just like we've been doing. Good speed here, 1 mile an hour, like I said. Whatever that means to you, moving through molasses, slow, controlled. Once you get there, then we're gonna reverse it. So we're gonna go in first, drive them down, drive them away from each other, bring them back up. And notice we keep the contact with the inside of that block the entire time. Everything else is braced. And we're just focusing on controlled range of motion through the wrist right now. And then we finish there. Got it? All right, we're gonna go down to hands and knees. You can face this way, yeah. We're gonna do 2 from this position. We're gonna do a spinal cars routine movement, and then we'll go to hips. So for the cars, for the rotation work for the spine, what I want you to think about is trying to move one segment at a time, okay? So typically when we do cats, cows, things like that, it's more of a global movement pattern, but at least intent is to try to move one vertebrae at a time. And I'll give her some tactile feedback, which will help with that. So we're gonna start in a rounded position. So she's rounded, she's driving the scaps away, pushing the hands, into the floor, and kind of almost creating that rounded position, okay? So what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna have her, wherever her eyes are, if they're between the knees, her gaze, I want her to stay there. Nothing's gonna move up here to start things. We're gonna always start from the hips, just for convenience, just for ease. So first thing I want you to do is rotate that hip down. So she's gonna start to drive her belly button towards the floor. Feel my fingers as we go up, and I want you to try to get away from my fingers. So we're moving one vertebrae at a time. So we're moving onto the mid-back. She's just letting that get heavy. Belly button's heavy now. Up through the chest, letting that chest fall towards the floor. And then at the very end, we're gonna look up. So now we're in this really arched position here. You can see that. So wherever her gaze is forward, say it's at the wall in front of her, I want this to move last again. So we're gonna start back here. This time, as I tap up the spine, I want her to reach up towards my fingers. So we tilted the pelvis up, drove the belly button up, started to move the abs up. Then as we move through the mid-back here, she's driving away, creating that rounded position again. At the very end, we're gonna let the head fall down. So now we've got this big global round again. We're gonna do one more, same exact thing. Going this way, we're trying to get away from the fingers. So anterior tilt of the pelvis, drop the belly button down, just let things get heavy and get away as I move up. Get away from the fingers as I move up. Good, good, good. And at the end again, we're gonna look up. That stays here, we're going back down. Now push into my hand, good. So we've rotated, pushing up through the midsection, good. Up through the mid-spine. Get that real rounded position through the upper back, and then let the head fall heavy. Good, to get that big rounded position again. Awesome. All right, now we're gonna move on to the hips. We're gonna do 2 more to finish out this cars routine for the today. We're gonna do hips. Just gonna give her a cue here, external cue, which will be the block. So oftentimes what happens is when we do if I have the block here, when we do our any sort of hip rotation pattern. A lot of people, especially if they're tight in the hips, they're gonna do this sort of movement here. So this external cue is just gonna help keep her honest. So if the block drops, that means we're getting a lot of movement from from the back. We wanna isolate a little bit more of the hip. All right, so let's go, we'll go right side first. No, we've been doing left. Let's start with the left side. We're just gonna do one circle each direction because we're gonna do a lot more hip work later on in the routine. So we'll just get one pattern each way. So create a little bit of tension, brace down, and then drive that knee up towards the chest. Good, so she's driving the knee up first. We're gonna basically draw a big circle. So bring it out, stop right there. I want you to bring the foot out a little bit. Good, so we get a little internal rotation. Now continue to drive that leg up and out, drive it back behind you. So here's her circle pattern. When she's here, she's gonna bring that leg through, let the knee go through, max that flexion out, and then reverse. So drive the leg back. We're getting hip extension here, heel towards the ceiling. Once that won't go any further, then I wanna open things up. So the foot falls back, and as she comes up here, try to keep that knee up. She's driving her knee towards the elbow, and then bring it back down. Perfect, good. And again, we're just doing one per side, because we're gonna get a lot more hip work in a little bit. So same thing on this side. So knee's gonna come up first, good. Bring it out, get a little internal, perfect. And then start to send that leg back. Knee's gonna go back, so she's just drawing that big circle here. When she gets to center, she's gonna drive it back down, max out the flexion of the hip, and then reverse. So hip extension, knee goes up, let the foot fall. And this part is important again, try to keep that knee up, yes. Drive it up to the knee, towards the elbow to complete that circle, come back down, right to there, good. All right, you can have a seat right there. We'll do ankles. Left ankle first. So when I have her do, she's gonna, you can sit with it however is comfortable, basically on your butt. I want you to grab underneath. So elbow goes underneath knee. Your left hand is gonna grab your right forearm, and your right hand is gonna grab your left shin. So all of this kind of tangled web is just to lock things out. So we're just gonna focus on moving from the ankle, okay? So just like we did with the wrist, we'll do 2 circles in one direction and then reverse, go to the other. So you can start, let's point them up first and bring them to the inside. So you're gonna bring that foot in and notice nothing else is moving. Muzzy, nothing else is moving. Have a seat. They can't see, buddy. Sit. Good. So big circle. We're gonna do 2 rotations in each direction. Slow, controlled. Oftentimes, I notice with the wrists and the ankles, there's parts where people want to speed up a little bit. So it's important that you try to fight that urge to speed up, okay? After, 2, go the other direction. So she's just bringing the feet out, driving them down, just as big a circle as you can. If you've had any ankle injuries, sprained ankles in the past, broken ankles, things like that, there's often some scar tissue and some things like that are gonna make that circle not feel very circular. So you want to resist the urge to speed up through those. You can go ahead and switch to the other side. Hey, Bubba, over here. So same thing. She brought her elbow underneath the knee, grab the forearm, grab the shin to lock that out. Okay? I'm going to draw a big circle. So foot up. We're going to go inside first, and then just continue that circle pattern. We're going down, out, and around. One thing you can do too if you're with someone is give them a cue here. I want you to try to draw a circle around my hand. So I'm staying right in the center, and she's just drawing that circle around. And once there's 2, go other direction. So I'm not moving my hand, and she's got to draw that circle around my fingers. Good, there's 1, a little slower. There you go, good. And this will finish our 2nd rep. So there's our CARS routine. We're gonna move on to a shoulder-specific section next. Okay, next section, we're gonna focus on the shoulder right now, and more specifically, external rotation of that shoulder. Section 1, we're gonna do some Pales rails, so progressive angular isometric loading and regressive angular isometric loading. So there's 4 parts to this Pales rails piece. We're gonna start with a passive stretch. So I have Nicole set up, elbow about 90 degrees, this here at 90 degrees. She's walked her hand up to get a passive stretch on that shoulder, okay? I've got a clock going just off camera, and we're gonna hold this for about a two-ish minutes, okay? If we want any sort of structural or biological change to happen here, we really need to hold these passive stretches for at least 2 minutes to get some positive benefits. So when we do our 30-second stretches here and there, it feels good and it might be a temporary help, but it's probably not anything too sustainable. So 2+ minutes is what research is showing. So again, we're gonna hang out here for about 2 minutes. We've got another minute to go. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna slowly start to ramp up the contraction. What I mean by that is we're gonna move at a 20, 40, 60, and then 80% force, where she's gonna start to drive the pipe into the floor, okay? And then we'll go for about 10 seconds, max contraction, her safest and greatest, where she can drive the pipe as hard as she can for 10 seconds into the floor. I'm gonna have her freeze where she is, and then all she's gonna do is try to reverse that contraction for 10 seconds and lift it up. After that, we'll do a couple of nice, just deep diaphragmatic breaths, just to relax things out, and that'll be about 30 seconds. So this whole Pails Rails, there's 4 sections to it. This 2-minute piece, which we're almost done with, then a slow ramp up, 10-second hard drive down, 10-second hard lift off, and then another, we'll say 30 seconds to just kind of regroup. So we're just finishing up our 2 minutes right now. This is, again, section 1 of the Pails Rails. So what I want you to do now is at 20%, start to drive down. It's slow too, again. So when I say 20, I'm gonna go up to 40. It's not 20, 40. Think the gradual contraction is 21, 22, 23. So it's slow. If there's a scale underneath this pipe, it's just ticking one more at a time. Okay, so let's ramp it up to 40. Good. Everything else is fairly braced. 60, up to 80. So now there's some decent force being driven down into this floor here. 80%. Now 10 seconds, hardest, safest, greatest, really push. Really push. Don't let me lift it up. Good. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't relax. Just try to reverse the contraction. Likely the pipe won't lift off the floor, gang, but she's just, with everything she's got on the regressive side, she's trying to lift that pipe off the ground. 3, 2, 1. Now you can kind of relax into it. See if you can crawl the hands up a teeny bit more. Perfect, right there is great. And hang out there. Oftentimes you will be able to grab a little bit more passive range after that 2 minute, 10 second, 10 second. Take one more nice deep diaphragmatic breath in through the nose, and then exhale out the nose as well. Good, so our Pails Rails is done. I'm gonna let her, you can let go for a second and just kind of shake that arm out if you need to. We're gonna go right back into it. So next thing we're gonna do is a passive range hold. So I want you to find that passive range again. So go ahead and walk the hands up so you feel a mild stretch. And I should mention, gang, if you don't have the range of motion that she has, if you're a bit tighter, you can use a lower object, of course. Blocks work really well, so they have 3 different heights. She didn't get much of a stretch from the highest block option, so we just went to a pipe to get her a little bit higher so she feels that stretch. So these passive range holds, we're gonna do 5 5-second holds. So we've taken her up to her passive range. So the goal of this one is to help trying to get the active range of motion to catch up to the passive. So what that means is when I tell her to let go of the pipe, likely her hand is gonna fall down an inch or so, okay? She's actively trying to keep the hand exactly where it is, but again, it'll likely fall down. We'll do that, hold that for 5. I'll let her grab the pipe, crawl back up, and we'll go again for 5 rounds, okay? So, you ready? Mm-hmm. Ready? And try to keep the hand where it is, but let go. So see how it falls down a little, keep fighting. So she's actively trying to drive it up. 3, 2, 1, grab, reposition, crawl the hands up. Good, ready, and let go. Keep fighting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, grab, walk back up. You're there. Good, ready, and let go. Good, keep fighting, push into my hand, push into my hand. Good, 3, 2, 1, grab, walk it back up. Go 2 more, ready, and let go. Good, push into my hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, grab, walk it back up. Last one here, and let go. Good, push up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, slowly lower the hand all the way down. Good, all right, stay right there. We're gonna go right into our last thing, so hand up. We're gonna put a block underneath. Try not to bend the wrist at all. So this last one here, gang, in this 3-part section, are just gonna be some lift-offs, okay? So we backed her off her passive range, so her passive range was up here. I backed her off a few degrees, so she's gonna get some range of motion here when we do the lift-off. I'll just hold this block so it doesn't fall, but all I want her to do is focus on maxing that out and seeing how far away she can get from the block. We'll do 10, it'll be like a 1 or 2 second hold back down, 10 reps, okay? Ready, and lift. 3, 2, 1, down, good. Ready, and lift. 3, 2, 1, and down, good. Ready, and lift, and down. Ready, and lift, and down, good. Try to keep that wrist straight. Ready, and lift, and down. I'm gonna change this. Let's try it this way and see what these look like. Ready, and lift, good. Down, lift, and down. We've got 3 more, I think. Ready, and lift, down, good, and lift, and down. Excellent. All right, you can rest, spin it around. We're gonna do the same exact thing on the other side. So it's, again, 3 parts: pails, rails, the passive range holds, and then those lift-offs. So we'll get her set up on that right side. We'll start our 2-minute. Coach Ma's still here helping. Look up, Baba. So let's get the elbow out at 90. Good. Grab the pipe, crawl it up till you get a little bit of a stretch. So I've got the 2-minute timer going. There. So just to recap, as we are getting that 2-minute stretch, we've brought her to her passive range. So she's feeling a nice passive stretch on that shoulder joint. Gonna hold this for two minutes. Right at the end there, we're gonna ramp it up as far as the contraction down, 20, 40, 60, 80, where she just slowly pushes harder, harder, harder into the pipe, into the floor. 10-second max contraction. Then the goal is to reverse it, try to lift the pipe off the ground for 10 seconds. After that is all done, we'll let her regroup, take a couple of nice deep diaphragmatic nasal breaths, and then we'll likely get an increased range of motion here. And then we'll go into our passive range hold. So that's 1 minute down. We're gonna go 1 more minute here in this position. And like I said earlier, we need to really hold these passive stretches for about 2 minutes if we want really any tissue changes to occur. Kind of get through that neurological barrier so the system will relax. And you may often, find differences between the sides. Looks like we get a little bit more range of motion here than the other side. That's very common. A lot of people will notice that either externally or internally. Could be due to injuries. It could be a number of reasons, daily activities, things like that. Playing sports, we're often side dominant, so definitely not uncommon. All right, we're closing in, so we're gonna start our ramp up section here. So at 20%, slowly start to drive down into the pipe. Good, and remember, it's a slow, gradual increase. Again, we're not just 20, then 40, it's 21, 22, up to 40%. Good. 60%, a little bit harder. 80%. Good, now for 10 seconds, everything you got pushed down. Drive down into that pipe, good. Max effort, dent the floor, keep going. 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't change position, just try to reverse it. Try to lift the pipe off the ground, good. Keep going, lift, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and relax. Couple of nice deep breaths. See if you can walk your hands up a little bit more. Right there, perfect, excellent. Good. Big nose in, big nose out. Let's do 1 more of those, and then we'll move on to our passive range holds. Good. All right, so for the passive range holds that we're gonna move on into, I'll let go for a sec so you can relax that hand. So remember, we're gonna have her crawl her hand up to get to her passive range. I'm gonna pull the pipe away, and the goal is likely the hand's gonna fall a little bit, but her goal is to actively fight to keep it right where it is. We'll do 5-second holds on these. All right, pipe's coming in. And like I say, you don't need a pipe. Technically, I could be here as a guide. If you're a little bit tighter, you could use a lower object, like a block works really well. So you just have to find an object that provides the right distance or resistance or range of motion, I should say, for the individual. I'm gonna move this in a little. All right, so you're there, ready? Get your passive up a little bit, there you go. Ready, and let go, hold, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grab it, crawl back up. Ready, and let go. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grab and walk back up. Ready, and let go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grab it, back up. Is that 3? 2 more. Ready, and let go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grab, crawl back up. Last one, and let go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower it down. Nicely done. Good. Take a second. We're going to throw the block underneath. It's going to go right there. We'll do 5 from this position and change if needed. So razor blade here. Good. So I don't want any motion from the wrist. We're trying to move from this guy. Everything else is along for the ride. We're just going to do 10 lift-offs. Ready? And 1, lift, and lower. And 2, lift, and lower. Good. 3, lift, and lower. 4, lift, and lower. 5, lift, and lower down. Good. A little bit more. Last 5, and lift. Good. Lower, lift, and lower. Good. Lift, and lower. 2 more. Lift, lower. Last one. Lift it. 3, 2, 1, and lower it down. Good. So we got both sides done. We did 1 round. Pails, rails, passive range holds, and then those lift-offs to finish. We're going to move on to the hips next. All right, gang. This next section, we've got Coach Maz helping out. We'll see how this goes. We're going to work on a 3-part external rotation focus for the hip. So we're going to do some pails, rails first. So that begins with a 2-minute passive stretch. So we're going to get the clock going. So Nicole is set up in a 90-90 position with her left leg forward. What I want her to do is slowly think about leaning forward, not leaning down. Go above that. So tall, long tailbone, long spine, and it's not a collapse, gang. We're just not going down here. I want her to think about belly button over the knee. So you can kind of see the difference from me here if I just collapse as opposed to belly button over knee. Okay, so she's gotten staying fairly tall and just coming forward as opposed to going down. That is going to put this hip capsule on stretch, and I've got the clock running already. We started in this position, so we're going to hold this for about 2 minutes. That's the beginning of this pails, rails little protocol here. So after the 2 minutes is up, we're going to slowly start to ramp a contraction down into the floor. So if she's here, what I want her to start to do is push from the outside of the shin, specifically the foot. So if the ground wasn't there, she's doing this with her leg. Okay, so she's gonna start to drive down. Not yet, we still have about 30 seconds to go. So we're gonna ramp that contraction up. She's gonna start a mild, 20%, push 40, 60, 80, and then safest and greatest, I want her to try to dent the floor with the outside of her shin, specifically the outside of her foot and knee. Okay, 10 seconds as hard as she can. Then she's gonna reverse it, and she's gonna lift up. She's gonna try to drive that leg up as high as she can for 10 seconds. Basically trying to close this gap. So it's not just lift the leg off the ground. She's trying to externally rotate as she closes the gap down for 10 seconds, okay? And then we'll finish with like a 30-second, just kind of regroup. So we're at just over 2 minutes. So she got that 2-minute passive. So now we're gonna start our ramp down. So 20%, start to push into the floor. Nothing else changes. As far as setup, she's just driving that leg into the ground. Let's go 40% push. Good. 60, 80, and then safest and greatest, dent the floor. Good. This is max effort, gang. Everything you got, 10 seconds, hard drive. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now reverse it. Try to lift the foot off the ground. Try to close this gap. Good, stay right there, lift into my hand. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Freeze, don't move. Good, nice big breath of air in. And as you let it out, see if you can get a tiny bit deeper into your stretch. Right there is good, hold that. Excellent. One more big breath. Think more diaphragmatic breath, gang. Nasal, big nose in, big nose out, and sink. Good, let's do one more of those. This will finish up our pails rails for this front leg. We're gonna do 3 parts, focusing on the left, and then we'll repeat, of course, on the right side. All right, so we're gonna get into what I like to call the fallen 90-90. So all she's gonna do from this position is just come onto her forearm. Now this, you can change this angle. If she stays upright, she certainly can do the movement from here. Typically, it's much more challenging. The more upright the torso is to get into a externally rotated hip, the harder. So the more you lay down, the easier it is. So I like to start here, and then people can adjust as needed. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna do 5-second holds of a passive range hold. So what I'm gonna have Nicole do is grab her foot. We want that knee to stay down. So she's found her passive range right here, okay? When I say let go, not yet. When I say let go, she's gonna she's gonna let go of the foot. It's likely gonna fall a little bit, but she's actively driving, trying to keep it right where it is, okay? We'll do 5 seconds. Ready, and let go. See how it falls a bit, very common. So this is her active range. 3, 2, 1, grab it, reposition. Put this knee down a little bit more, right there. Good. Ready, and let go. Good, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, grab, reposition. So this is the difference between active and passive. So we're trying to just close that gap with these holds. Ready, let go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, grab. 2 more. Ready, and let go. Push into me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, grab it. 1 more, bring that knee down a little. It keeps creeping up on us. Right there, last one. Ready, and let go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, slowly lower. There's a parachute. Lower down slow. Good, don't move. We're gonna go right into lift off. So from this position, the goal is just keep the knee down, work on external rotation from this position. All I want her to do is lift the foot as high as she can. We'll do 10 of these lift offs. These are a little bit faster. Ready, and go, lift and lower. Good. Always just like that, slow and under control. So it's never lift and plop, lift and plop. There's control at both ranges, or both ways, I should say, on the way up and on the way down. Ready? Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift, lower. Is that 4? Lift, lower. There's 5. Last 5, I'm going to give a little resistance. Lift, push, and lower. Good. Lift and lower. 3 more. Lift and lower. 2 more. Lift and lower. Last one. Into me. Lift, hold. 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Good. So let's just, you can do whatever you want to get in position. You can stretch that out, but let's have the right leg forward and reposition into your 90. Good. 26. So we're gonna get set up in the Pails Rails. We're gonna just repeat that trio there, Pails Rails, the passive range holds, and then the lift offs to finish. So she's set up, got the right hip on stretch here by, again, staying tall and driving forward to put that hip capsule, that right hip capsule, into a passive stretch. And we're holding it for a 2-ish minute period. On all these passive range holds, gang, when you're holding them, breath work is very important in these. So I want you to think about, always try and stay nasal if you can, meaning just keep the mouth shut. Always think big diaphragmatic breaths. Think big inhales and even longer exhales. That'll just kind of tone down the nervous system and help us with our stretches. So it's a big in, longer out, okay? We've got 1 more minute to go. I'll just review what we're gonna do here. At the end of this, we're gonna start our ramp up period 20, 40, 60, 80, where she's driving the outside of that shin, more specifically the outside of this foot and ankle, into the floor. So again, if the floor wasn't there, she'd be doing this, okay? 10 seconds max effort drive into the floor. Then we're gonna reverse that, 10 seconds hard lift up. After that, we'll find our new passive range for 30-ish seconds. Then we'll go into our passive range holds, finish with the lift offs. All right, so we're gonna start our ramp up period here. So we're just closing in on that 2 minutes. So at 20%, go ahead and push down into the floor. So it's really the whole thing, from the knee to the foot, but again, more specifically down here, so we're getting that external rotation pattern. Let's ramp it up to 40. Push down. Good. 60%. 80%. Safest, greatest, drive. Good. 10% hard. Good. Don't let me lift you off. Good. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now reverse it. Don't change position. Good. Trying to close this gap now, gang. trying to lift the foot off the ground. It's not gonna happen, but the intent needs to be there. All the tissue on the inside, all that inside stuff is activated. 3, 2, 1, freeze, don't change position yet. Big breath. As you exhale, see if you can get a little bit deeper. You can bring those hands forward, but stay tall. And remember, it's forward, not down. Forward, not down. Good. Hang right there. That's excellent. Nicely done. So we've increased our passive range. Everything relaxed. Last breath. So we're gonna move on to the passive range hold. So I'm just gonna have her get into that fallen 90 position. We'll do our 5 liftoffs. So 5-second liftoffs here. So this is really telling, showing someone what their passive versus active ranges are, these passive range holds. So go ahead and grab your foot. Good, just bring it out a little bit right there. Yep, ready, and let go, and hold. So there's just the difference right there, a couple inches. 3, 2, 1, grab it, reposition. Ready, and let go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, grab. Good, and let go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Was that 3 or 4? 3. Ready, and let go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get one more. Don't let me push you down. Ready, and let go. Fight. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower down. There's a parachute. Perfect. Good show of control right here. Again, always going down slowly. And once we're here, take a second. Now we're just gonna go right into our liftoffs. We'll do 10 of these where, again, we're working on the rotation pattern from the hip is gonna, everything else is along for the ride. You're gonna bring that knee and foot up. Ready? And lift and lower. Good. 1. Lift and lower. 2. Lift and lower. 3. Just keep that ankle straight. Lift and lower. Good. 4. Lift, lower. 5. A little extra resistance. Lift. 6, good, and lift. Good, lift. 7, lift. 8, 2 more, lift, hold, lower slow. Last one, lift, hold for 3, 2, 1, and slowly lower down. Good. So there's our 3-part external focus for the hips.